Howdy once again, it's tubalcain and I'm out in my old garage, and I was thinking that I haven't done a video for the longest time on electrolysis, that is the rust removal by electrolysis. And as seen in a video the other day, you saw that I bought a Belsaw honing machine. That's a Belsaw 1019 and it runs fine. It's pretty old, but the lapping plate has quite a bit of rust on it, and I need to remove that rust. Well, what could be more natural than to put it on there and just run a hone or emery cloth or whatever over that. I wouldn't even have to put it in the lathe, but the urge struck me to use electrolysis. So let's take a look at how to do that. I have many other videos on it that hundreds of thousands of people watch, so you might want to check those out as well. And here's how to do electrolysis, and you can do it in your home simply with water, a battery charger, and some Arm & Hammer super washing soda. And now that's not the same as baking soda, so don't use baking soda. And in reality, it's sodium carbonate, and there are probably other brands of that, but that's what I got at our Kroger's. This Belsaw came with a couple of plates. Here's another plate, and it's got some rust on it, and it appears to be copper plated, but there's some rust down here, so the copper must not be very thick. I'm a little leery on what to do with that right now, so I'm going to use the other plate that I showed you. And all that you do is to put this in the soda solution, and there's about 1 cup of this, and I mixed it in warm water. It just helps to dissolve it, and I suppose there's about 2.5 gallons in there. Now this isn't a fast process. It has to set overnight or several nights, but the thing is, you can go in and watch tubalcain videos while the rust is dissolving. Well, spring has finally come to Illinois, so I'm moving my snowblower and I'm summerizing it, not winterizing it, I'm summerizing it. And today I bought fertilizer. Well, that's a crazy thing. Why would you buy fertilizer? You just got to mow, but I got a riding mower. Alright, off topic again, but look at my setup here now. What I've done is I've taken an old broomstick and some baling wire, mechanics wire, soft iron wire, whatever you want to call it, and I hung the plate from this, and there's just enough water in there, or I should say the wire is just about the right length so that's not resting on the bottom, but there's a little bit sticking out, so I'm going to just add a little bit of water so it's fully covered, fully immersed. And I was going to use this old file here for my sacrificial piece, my scrap, my anode. Actually, it's an old rasp, I think for horseshoeing. See if there's a brand on it. Yeah, it's Diamond, made by Diamond. They make horseshoes too. Well, any kind of steel scrap is fine. I was going to use this, but I had to change the plans, and I'll tell you why. As I was cutting the wire with my fake Klein pliers, I had a heck of a time getting through it. The thing is dull as can be, so I'm going to sacrifice this. I hate that thing. I got at least a dozen genuine Klein, so why am I suffering with this piece of junk that is unmarked? So that's going to be my scrap, my anode, and the cathode, of course, is the work. I think I got those words right. That's the cathode. The plate, which is cast iron, by the way, and I intend to use this as a honing machine. Possibly this Belsaw item I'm talking about now, or for lapping, and I may use an abrasive disc on there. I bought one today, but the finest I could find was a 120. But here's the sacrificial piece. You know what? I just found the marking on that. It was inside the handle. It's a Utica, which is a major brand. I don't think they make them anymore. I think it was Utica, New York. But anyway, it's so dull and so old that I'm sacrificing it. So it's hanging there. Now I'm going to take my battery cables and I'm going to put the negative on the work. So there's the negative, like so, and the positive will be on the waste stock. Okay. Now watch the needle as I plug this in to 110 volt. I got it on manual. This is a 12 volt, but I think 6 volt would work. And the needle jumped up to, it looks like about 4 amps. Now this isn't for children to do, but almost immediately you'll see some bubbling. That's within 30 seconds. It's been about 20 minutes and you can see there's already some accumulation along the edge. It looks like rust and a bit of a boiling going on. Now I got to give you a warning right now. I'm told that's hydrogen gas. Somebody else said it wasn't, but I don't know. Let's just say that it is hydrogen gas. If you clip or unclip your battery cable or clamp, there is a bit of a spark. So make sure you do that on the outside where the spark can't ignite that. Better yet, because the gas may have accumulated in here. Better yet, do all of your connecting and disconnecting at the wall here, or some other kind of switch, because you really don't want sparks around the gas. Now here's what I bought this morning. This 8-inch disc, adhesive back, that's 120 grit, so I thought I may use that, but that's a little coarse for what I wanted. And as I said, I want to sharpen knives and things like that, but if I do honing or lapping, I'm going to use lapping compound, and that's what that plate with all the slots is for. I didn't get directions with this, so it's really made to hone barber's clippers, the ones that do this when you're getting a haircut. But nobody gets a haircut anymore. It really was quite fortuitous that I came across that Belsaw lapping machine, because I had started this project sometime during the winter here. I didn't finish it because, of course, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, but look what I came up with to do the same job and didn't finish it. This is a heavy-duty drill head, right angle, and it's not a 1-to-1 ratio. I forgot what it is. But in the chuck, I have mounted a 10-inch cast iron plate. Now I had to turn that down and true it up on the lathe. That's 10-inch diameter. Now I got this end in the Electrolysis holder. This is going to be held in the 3-jaw chuck. So let me do that off camera. It's going to be kind of awkward, or maybe I can do it on camera. Something like this. Now I'll tighten the chuck. Alright, it's mounted in my new Gator chuck, and I do love that chuck that I got from Carl. Kind of like driving a bus. But we got it chucked here. We got this held in the Allura simply so the whole thing won't revolve. And the idea was for me to put this 10-inch disc, and that is a 180 grit. That's finer than the one I had out in the garage. And that would sit on there like that. And I could polish, the idea was to sharpen knives. That's going to be pretty slick. Also, in the meantime then, 2 months ago, I found this at an auction. That's a 12-inch plate. It's die cast. How true it runs, I do not know, but I thought, well, I'll do that. Well, now I got 8, I got 10, and I got 12. Now, just what is it going to be? Cheese or sausage? But let's watch this thing run now. And I put the lathe in back gears, and of course I can get it to revolve in either direction. Except that this closing lathe is so doggone noisy. That's forward. Reverse. In gear. So I got forward and I got reverse, and then I can adjust the speed to anything that I want. Any speed that I want. So why did I buy the Belsaw? Well, this takes a few minutes to set up, and of course, as in any machine like a shopsmith or a smithy or whatever multi-purpose machine you have, the second you set it up for one job, you're immediately going to need to reset it for another job, if you know what I mean. That's why I own 8 lathes. I only have one milling machine, and that's quite a hardship. Well, I got a little bit off the subject. We'll go out and look at the electrolysis now. But that's what I came up with here. And I also had thought, since this is cast iron, that this would just be perfect for lapping as well, because I got some lapping compound. Now this cast iron plate came off of the vacuum pump, the Welch vacuum pump, and the bell jar sat on there. However, you wouldn't believe how untrue it ran, because I suppose you would have thought it would have had been perfect for the bell jar to fit on there, but normally you use that rubber gasket with the glass bell jar, if you know what I'm talking about, for vacuuming. Watch some of my other videos if you haven't, but that's how I'm going to sharpen knives. I just changed the game plan a little bit. I took the Utica pliers out there, and there's an accumulation on the pliers. But remember, there isn't all that much rust on that plate, just in one spot. But I put the big old rasp in there because there's a lot of surface area on it. And you can see there's a lot of activity. The amp meter is up a little higher than it was before. It's at 5 amps. And there's a lot of activity down there. Okay, that's enough for now. It's about a half hour later, and I'm paying too much attention to this because, you know, a watch spot won't boil, but I think it's working a lot better with that big old rasp in there. Now I'm going to put the camera on the ammeter, and I'm going to raise and lower the file, and I want you to watch the ammeter as I do that. Okay, now I'm doing it. And it goes all the way on 0 when I take it out. It's 3 hours later, it's early evening, and you can see that we have an accumulation on the top of foam and debris. And looking at the meter, we still have, what is it, about 3 amps. So I'm going to leave it on overnight. We'll see what it looks like in the morning, but we still have a little bubbling going on in there. Well, it's the next morning at 7 o'clock. It's kind of chilly out here. It's 50 degrees, and you can see most of the action has stopped. Can you hear the train whistle? That is a load of alcohol from the ethanol plant on the Norfolk Southern track. And if you look at this, we're almost down to nothing. I'm going to pull the plug and see what we got. All right. It's bright in here. That's morning sun. Let's take a look at the rasp now and see what's accumulated on this. You know what, the lighting is such so you can't tell. Let me do something here with the light. Okay. You can see the accumulation here. It's almost like barnacles. And that's what came off the plate. More on the one side than on the other. This is almost like a foam. Now let's pull the plate out. It's not going to look good. It will not look clean. It's going to be black. It needs to be brushed and washed. And that's quite a black stain there where the rust was. Okay, I'm going to get a pail of clean water and a brush and just lightly brush it so we can look at it. But it's also going to need a polishing. This is not a process that makes it look pristine and clean. And let's see what the results are here. This is another bucket. The lighting isn't good here. It's too bright, actually. So now this needs to be dried off and oiled right away. Now I'm going to do that off camera, and I have to go away for the day. So the next thing I'll do tomorrow is to put it on the Belsaw machine, and I'm going to polish it at whatever RPM that is and see what it looks like. Because, as I said, don't expect it to look good when you pull it out. But you do want to oil it right away. And that's a bit black in there. Some scale that came off. 5 minutes has passed. I'm back in the sanctity of my basement, and that's nice warm water I'm running on it. My wife just walked by and she said, "Do you have to ruin every one of the guest towels?" This is 100 grit. Let's just do a little sample here and see what it looks like. You know what? I think that's going to clean up just nice. And some of you are probably saying, why don't you just skip the electrolysis and go straight to the paper? So maybe you're right. But I believe that's going to clean up pretty nice. I don't think the stain itself will ever go away. But like I said, I'm leaving here now to meet a friend for breakfast and actually goof off for the day is what I'm going to do. But then tomorrow I want to put this on the Belsaw lapping machine and polish the heck out of it. But I'm going to oil it now so that nothing crazy happens. And that, now that I'm looking at this, I said I think it's cast iron the other day, but yes, that's beautiful gray iron. I've got the plate mounted on the Belsaw, and I oiled it nicely just with a rag and some oil so it won't rust overnight. And then tomorrow, this is still today, tomorrow I will clean it up real well. See what it looks like. Tomorrow has just come, and here's a brand new piece of Norton emery cloth. They usually don't even call it emery cloth anymore, but it's coarse. No good designation, just coarse. But let's see what happens with that. This has still got a little bit of oil on it. Maybe I'll tear that in half. Not a whole lot of power in this motor. You can hear it laboring, but then again it's meant just for a little honing. What in the heck is that squawking? I'm going to do a little more of this off camera with the coarse paper. That's just about enough with the coarse cloth. And it's looking real good. Again, I don't believe that stain will ever come out. And I'm not going to worry about the grooves either. Although I might take just a little bit of this and off camera and run it in the grooves. Like that. Oh man, can you hear that? I'm going to have to take this apart and see what's inside. I don't like that sound one bit. Now I'm going to switch to, where did I put it? Some of this 220 carborundum waterproof paper. We'll see what happens. You can see it bogs down. That must be a tiny little motor in there. That's it. I gotta stop and open it up. I took the bottom off, which is expanded steel for ventilation, I suppose, and it's pretty simple inside. We got a, well, it's a plastic pulley is what it is, large pulley, and then the belt is like a little O-ring or vacuum cleaner type belt, and it tells the belt size there. Well, there's nothing wrong with the belt that I can see, but we've got an oil light bearing right here, and just in case it has no oil left in it, and it just in the event that that is what was howling, lubricated a little bit. I can't see the top bearing. I'll have to get at that from the other side, but I suppose we could have a little howling of these bearings, but I doubt it. And that's all there is to it. Not much. I'd like to take this off. That was pretty rusty too. There's rubber feet on it which are kind of hardened, and so it's not on its feet right now. It's just so it's going to vibrate. I'm going to polish that up. I'd like to see if I could get that off. There is a retaining ring there, but I hate to get into that now and get sidetracked from what I'm really doing. Oiling that oil light bearing on the bottom seems to have done the trick. I still don't have the feet on it. And that is all I intend to do on it. Really, it's quite good, remembering what the purpose of this is for lapping and honing. Doesn't need to be any better than that. Now I'll turn my attention to the other side, which I think is going to be a little more difficult because of the crisscross pattern. And I did clean out the grooves pretty well. Now I'm going to oil that too in a minute. Matter of fact, I think I'll oil it. This is a real bad fit here between that diameter and this diameter. Quite a bit of slop. But let me oil it while I still have some power to do it here. Yeah, I guess I have to snug it down. Trying to half step here a little bit. Speed things up. Very nice, very nice. Let me flip this pancake. Now let's see what becomes of this side. Looking pretty good already. Really bogs that little motor down. Must be about 1/30th of a horse. And now the fine paper. I know it looked like a lot of work, but I've probably spent under 10 minutes with abrasives on this, because the whole purpose of this video, as you recall, because it's getting kind of long, was electrolysis and the removing of the rust by electrolysis, and really it was quite successful. You can see that's nice gray iron. And there's no rust at all on this side. This has been done real well. So I'm happy with that, and I'm essentially done with it, other than I'm going to put a little machine oil on there. And that's done. Now on the other side, I did work the grooves with a corner of the cloth like that, but I do not intend to do all of these. There's just too many of them, and there's probably no purpose to it anyway, because those little grooves will fill with abrasives if and when I ever actually do any lapping with this. And this is the lapping side, is from what I understand. Now I'm going to take this off, put the cover on the bottom, and try to summarize things here. This is the big old rasp. It's still kind of wet, and that's the rust and corruption and corrosion that was removed from the plate and deposited on the rasp. That's the foam that's still wet that was on the top. But isn't that amazing? The transfer of the rust from one piece to the sacrificial piece. If I can put that down. Now let's take a look. This is the other plate that came with it. At first I thought it was a copper plate. But the reality is it's still cast iron, I believe, like the other one. But yet I'm seeing some copper shine through there. You can see that it's magnetic. I'm wondering if this side had copper plating on it too, and it's been worn out on that side, because this side is the only part that appears to have been used. Now we've got rust here, and the copper is gone, so it was plating. And you can see the line here where the copper has eroded away. And some rust on the edge. So if I ever use this plate, I'm going to mount it in the lathe on an arbor and polish it. I don't know what that groove is there, if that's damage or if it was made that way. I wish I knew more about this little honing machine, but I'm unable to find any information on the internet. This is a Joule block, as you know, a gauge block, 1 inch. These have lapped surfaces. Now I'm certainly not going to attempt to lap this. I would lose the accuracy almost instantly, because these are lapped within, oh shoot, I don't even know what the tolerance is for a shop grade, but what you would do with lapping is use lapping compound polishing, sharpening, cleaning, lapping, grinding, honing. 2 different grits in there. Here's some A grit, also Clover brand. That would be from Napa for valve grinding, so that would probably be kind of coarse. And there's also lapping and grinding compound. That's a double can, a duplex can. Kind of neat. That's ancient. But the idea is you would spread the lapping compound on here for whatever it is you're lapping, and then the workpiece would lay right here up against that rest. And you would just slide it back and forth. You wouldn't have to hold it where it would spin away, because it would be up against this, and there is a gap under there. Let me show you. See, it's not touching. But more than likely what I'm going to do with this wheel, since it is damaged and the plating is gone, but I will just use it either for lapping or, as I showed you earlier, put one of these abrasive pads on there. Not to punch a hole in the middle. Because I want to sharpen, where's my knife? I want to sharpen knives and so on, but I don't want to use a belt sander or something that is too aggressive. And even this is probably too aggressive, but sometimes to put a fine edge on, you just want to hone it. Well, this isn't a hone, but I'm going to see how that works. But anyway, that concludes this video. Really, the subject was electrolysis, rust removal. I got a little sidetracked here with the item that I'm actually cleaning up, but that's the results, and I'm happy with it. I don't know what these 4 evenly spaced marks are. Something in the manufacture of the plate, I guess. So, I hope you enjoyed the video. Give that electrolysis a try following the instructions that I gave you near the beginning of this video, and look at my other videos that I talked about where I have removed rust. It's an amazing process where you can watch TV while the rust removal is taking place in your garage. Now, always work safely. This is tubalcain saying so long for now, and be sure and watch the rest of my videos. 700 of them.